White men are the mental health problem in this country. Jim Crow, white men. Slavery, white men. Segregation, white men. Concentration camps for Asian Americans in the late 30s and early 40s. 1,800 people died. How many black people were hung from trees? 8,000. Let me guess. Oh yeah, once again, white men. The gun violence? 98% are men. 84% are white men, U.S. citizens. I see a trend. How about the Middle Passage where 1.2 African Americans died? Oh yeah, once again, white men. Why was the Second Amendment written? Let me think. So black people couldn't have their freedoms. So the white men could once again control them. Who's in the White House? An adjudicated rape convicted felon white man. Wow, I see a trend. But somehow Americans are just begging to blame a trans person, a non-white person.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right. So in today's episode, you're going to be watching videos of both white men and women who are going to be talking to us, right? And they're only coming to the harsh realization that they've always been lied to and they've always been manipulated.
Right, so let's hear it from the horse's own mouth. But before that, also let us know, do you agree with what they're saying and do you think it makes sense? Let us know down in the comment section. Also consider subscribing if you're new to our channel, right? Let's watch and then we come back.
See, what happened to George Floyd is symbolic of what's happening in this country. The white man putting his knee on the neck of a non-white person and sitting there in broad daylight with the balls to say, who's going to stop me? And that's what we're seeing right now. So that's the question that we need to ask ourselves as a fucking country. Who's going to stop them? Because I'm just one person here. Now, I don't know about you, but I got friends and family that are sitting behind the white privilege, and I want nothing to do with them. Not because of who they are, because their lack of action. Martin Luther King said, history is going to remember not the people that did bad things, but the good people that stood by and did nothing. Because once again, the white man is hiding behind their privilege while everybody else is getting treated like absolute fucking garbage. Because it doesn't affect me. You don't even want to go on a general strike to stop fascism. Oh, I can't work. Oh, I got a job. White man is the mental health crisis in the United States of America. It has been since day one. When you look at the majority of them, what do you see? A bunch of insecure little wannabe alpha males with small penises that need big trucks and guns to feel like a real man. That's the real problem, is toxic masculinity. That the white man feels unable to shit on everyone's rights just because of how they look. It's ironic, isn't it, that they demonize black people because they're black on the outside, and yet their hearts are black on the inside. Isn't that ironic? And every single time we see a mass shooting, they're just salivating on the white supremacist red hatters to say, oh my gosh, it was an immigrant, it was a trans person, it was a gay people. 84% of gun violence is white men. But when it happens, like at the church the other day, what happens? Oh, thoughts and prayers. But what happened with the racist podcaster? Oh, they were just dying for it to be somebody on the left so they can just blame somebody else. A white man. The Catholic, the church yesterday. A white man. 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 Ahmaud Arbery. Guess what? 3 white men that chased out a black guy. Breonna Taylor. Oh, a white cop. Again and again and again and again and again. It's the same demographic. White men are the problem in this fucking country. And until we address the real mental health epidemic, which is white supremacy built on white men controlling people, because that's how this country was designed, for 21-year-old landowning white men to shit on everybody else. This country was designed to benefit my demographic, and that is not okay. That is the original sin of this country. And until we address it, we will never be a great country, and we haven't been a great country.
I don't know why good old Pete only wants Caucasian men in the military. They're the easiest to manipulate. Don't want to be training up those who have had to overcome adversity. Absolutely not. But white men, they've never had to deal with it. They don't even know that they're being oppressed. So they'll just blindly follow.
They told us wars were for freedom. They told us bombs were for peace. They told us enemies rose in deserts, never in boardrooms. They told us Vietnam was about dominoes, Iraq was about weapons, and Afghanistan was about justice. They told us the banks were safe, recessions were accidents, and bailouts were for stability. They told us food was tested for our health, sugar was harmless, and the chemicals in the soil were progress. They told us nuclear was only for light bulbs. They said surveillance was only for terrorists and that privacy is outdated. They told us globalization would lift all boats. They told us work would always have dignity. They told us progress meant prosperity. They said democracy means choice. They said leaders represent us. They told us votes outweighs money. They told us climate deals would save the planet. They told us targets are being met. And they told us the system was under control. And we believed. We believed because trust was trained into us. We believed because the truth was buried beneath noise. To those in Africa, in the Middle East, in Asia, and in South America, please hear this. We were told stories. We were raised in shadows. We were born into the same machinery that took from you. We were told that you were dangerous, that you were backward, and that you needed saving. And while bombs fell on your cities, screams in our homes told us it was justice. We didn't know. Not because the truth was absent, but because the truth was buried. Layer upon layer of propaganda, schooling, news feeds, speeches, until even compassion was trained to look the other way. We were not the architects. We were not the generals. We were not the corporations that carved your land and drained your rivers. But we, the ordinary people of the West, were made to believe it was for freedom, for safety, and for progress. But we see now, and we say this, it was never our will. It was never the will of the majority. We were lied to, manipulated, and enlisted in an empire without our consent. The same empire that looted your lands, looted our minds. And together, we are breaking the spell. Dear Africans, after my last post, I have to tell you I am pretty disappointed because I saw how many of you still believe we are living some kind of beautiful, wealthy, happy life. But listen carefully. What you see is not the truth. What you see is a mask they built for you to admire. Yes, they keep us with houses and cars. Yes, they keep our streets looking clean and our shops looking full. But it's not because they care for us. It's only because they need us numb enough not to fight back. They need us distracted, sedated, believing we are free while they extract from us just as they extract from you. The only reason they let us appear wealthy is so we don't realize we are slaves to the system too. Slaves to debt, to bills, to poisoned food and water, to endless advertising, to dopamine cycles that keep us scrolling instead of waking. From the outside, you see a beautiful dream. From the inside, it feels like slow suffocation. We are not living in paradise. We are trapped in a system of illusions, a prison designed to look comfortable. So when you envy what we have, remember this: our wealth is not freedom, it's anesthesia. And we are telling you now, do not chase this lie. Don't.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section, yeah? And most importantly, do you agree with what today's speakers have to say? Because I feel like it's quite a big thing when white folks are coming out and calling each other out for whatever it is, you know, and those who take accountability. And like the first gentleman who was talking about, he came to the realization that white men are the real mental issues in America. They're the source of that, you know. And, you know, when you think about everything that has been happening, especially in this latest year, 2025, and you're telling yourself, this needs to be studied and people need to be checked, because there are things that are happening and you're asking yourself, why is it that right now it's manifesting in one demography? Or is it that due to the fact that it was black people whose crimes were normally broadcasted and white people looked innocent, or let's just say they look like they were law-abiding citizens? Or is it that it's because of the age of internet where right now the crimes are being broadcasted more than the supremacy system would like to admit?
Right, and in this, I feel like Black Americans have for the longest time tried to highlight this issue. And when you say that it is time for the right parties to be brought forward and for this issue to be addressed, I am glad that Black Americans took a step back, because I do feel like in them taking a step back, it's what allowed
to speak.
Right, it's what allowed and forced white America to speak up, especially the ones who feel like they're not racist and they're ready to stand up and make a change.
Right, and something big that lady speaker from our episode today said and got me thinking really so much. Yeah, she was talking about why she thinks the President Trump right now is happy and only wants to, or it seems like he wants to recruit more of white men in the military compared to any other demography of people. Yeah, and according to her words, now that one I'm just gonna leave it to the debate on the comment section. I'm not going to agree with this, and I'm not going to disagree with it either, but you're going to be leaving it open for a discussion on the comment section, so you can let us know. Do you guys think that the reason why she's putting that, whatever she's calling a statistic forward, is because in her own words, yeah, white women are easy to manipulate, white men are easy to manipulate? Is that factual? Let us know.
And one thing I found to be quite interesting was the lady said that especially white American men are the ones that are being manipulated. And I found it interesting because we also had another speaker, a white male, who said the same thing, that white America, especially men, are being manipulated. And when we think about why supposedly Pete wants to recruit white men instead of black men, this lady said that people who do not understand trauma are often easily to be manipulated, because people who understand trauma, especially Black Americans, will always see the patterns of what gave them trauma play out, right? And if they see the pattern of what gave them trauma play out, they can easily find a way to protect themselves against those patterns.
Right, and the Black American community, I feel like that the most woke community in America, in the sense that like they've gone through so much that they'll literally be able to see when it's happening to another group of people. You tell me, is it going to be easy to try and convince Black Americans, assuming that a lot of them were in the army in comparison to the white population? Do you think it would have been easy for them to just go to countries, the Middle East, where or wherever demography that America has a huge presence, right? A foreign country. Do you think it would be easy for Black Americans to go and do whatever these soldiers have been sent out there to do? So you're looking at the person who can most likely easily take in orders, and that is just what the woman was alluding at. But guys, as we've said, this one, we're just going to be leaving it at the comment section for our debate, and then you can just let us know, right? It's an educative forum and we want to learn from each other, right? And let's talk about the guy who was talking about, and this is not the first time we're featuring his work on our channel. He normally speaks a lot of sense. I feel like he's in this era of awakening where he's seeing things from a different lens and from a different perspective, And he was talking about how when it comes to Africa, he was kind of like asking for forgiveness, because according to him, he says they've been manipulated to see things that are not supposed to be seen clearly, that kind of thing. And Africans have been also manipulated to look at the West in a different point of view, which is true. That one I can agree with him. When you look at Africans, the reason why right now we still have Africans who are drowning in boats in Spain or whatever entry point to the West they can get their hands on, it's because of the image they've been sold, being told that the West is this and that. Like, the West is literally the land of milk and honey. If you want greener pastures, the West is where you go to get your greener pastures, know. And somebody was asking, why is it that Africans are struggling and, struggling to go to the West when Africa has everything? Literally everything you might need is in Africa. You can just build your own country, stay there, and create these opportunities that even other people from other continents can want to come and also, find opportunities for themselves. Why can't you do that? And there's a reason. There's a kid who really went viral who was talking about why the West will never allow Africa to, blossom to its full potential. It's because a huge part of the development of the West depends on the raw materials in Africa, And if Africa becomes powerful, there's no way they're gonna be getting these raw materials as cheaply as they're getting them when they're not treating Africa in a fair way,
Right. The biggest question right now remains, of course, at least you're seeing changes right now that more Americans, white Americans, are coming out to call out their own when something happens, or the government when something happens. And right now, some, if not most of the ones who are speaking, are willing to admit that the system is flawed, especially against Black Americans. But the question now remains, will they be successful in making their people change? That is the biggest question you're asking today.
Right. Will they be successful? Let us know, guys, because you can literally see the pain in this guy's eyes when he's talking about how he's only just realizing how much they've been lied to and manipulated.
But then again, the biggest question is, yes, you can see the pain in his eyes, but is that pain to be trusted? Because Black people have been beat in the back. Black people have been backstabbed more times than we can count for us to question everything. Do they mean what they say?
Right. And then the thing is the kind of image they portray to Westerners about Africa, the kind of image they portray to Africa about Westerners, and the whole of it, And then as that guy who was talking about mental health was saying, you look at everything and you look at who sits on top of that pile of whatever, When you look at Jim Crow, you look at who who engineered that whole situation. Yeah, you look at colonization, you ask yourself, who was sitting on top of the benefits that it was reaping, and who engineered all these things to a point where they said, we want boundaries here, we want borders here. And guys, somebody was saying, the same guy who was talking about being manipulated, he was saying, he's so sad that Africans are not seeing this. They've been manipulated, and he's trying to explain to them, but they're still not listening that the West is not a place of milk and honey. That's just an image they sold Africans to.
Together mask.
Exactly, but they're still not. Some of them, it's hard to decolonize their brain, And anyway, it's quite unfortunate, but what can be done at this point? And he said they don't care about us. They only, we are not all involved in colonizing countries. We are not all involved in oppressing other people and such like things, because they don't care about us. They make these decisions not with our consent. They make it after, for the benefit of, the few who stand to gain from those situations. So if all these people open their eyes and see the light that has been put in front of them for all these decades, then I feel like they can be able to stand.
Will be taken to the right people, and not the Black community as it has always been
or
done.
Other countries that they feel like they can oppress for gains, But guys, let us know what you think about this episode. I felt like it was quite interesting to hear and listen to the people.
Right. So let us know what you think about the episode. Also consider subscribing if you're new to our channel, and we'll see you on our next episode.